Good evening. I want to thank Luana and all the activists who put this together on behalf of the families. I think that this is the true work. This is the work that reminds everyone that we are still here, we are still fighting, and we will not stop fighting. Luana asked me to introduce the families of A.J. Crooms and Sincere Pierce. They were both killed on November 13th of 2020 by Brevard County Sheriff's officers who said that they were investigating a stolen car. It just so happened the car that Sincere and AJ were in was not stolen, but they end up dying. We found out on Monday of this month that the Brevard County State Attorney's Office was not going to bring charges against the officer who shot and killed A.J. Crooms. We found out because they sent their investigative report to the media. We sent our lawsuit to the courts on Friday. That's what we are here for. But we know without the activists like you, and all I see in this group is activists, because I've seen you at every Black Lives Matter protest. I've seen you at every event that has been put together, so I know this is a group of activists. And I want to tell you on behalf of me and Ben Crump, because we gave a press conference yesterday in Brevard County about this lawsuit. I want to tell you the first thing that we did in that press conference was thank the activists. Because we know without you guys, we couldn't do the work that we do. So thank you very much. I'm going to introduce the family to you. But first I want to talk about the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. A lot of people ask me, like, what does the act say? As you know, it's been passed in Congress. We're waiting on the Senate to pass it. Call your senators. So here's the thing about calling our senators, right? There are senators. So I don't care what your Democratic party, I don't care what your party is, they're your senators. And they represent you. So yes, call Mark Rubio. Yes, call Scott. Let them know that you want this act passed and you want it passed now. So here's what the act does. It will prohibit no-knock warrants, like what we saw in Breonna Taylor's case. It will prohibit chokeholds and cardiac holds, like what we saw in George Floyd's case and Eric Garner's case. It will require the use of funds for body cameras. For all those police officers who said, oh, we don't have the money to buy body cameras. Well, now you will. Yeah. It would require and establish a national police misconduct registry. So let me tell you why that's important. Do you know there is no uniform registry? We can't tell how many people were killed by police in the United States because there is no uniform registry. Each police department, they have their own system of how they keep track. And by having their own systems, then when the FBI gets it, there's no national way to consolidate this information. This information is important for if we want to have lawsuits to hold people accountable for the work, for what they're doing. So that's why we need to have a national registry. So we're telling the local police, don't worry about it, just do it nationally, okay? We're asking for a ban of qualified immunity. So what qualified immunity says is that if a police officer does something, and it's not just for police officers, I will say it's for any government official. But what we've seen it used, every lawsuit that I have filed, I have had to go against qualified immunity in civil court. So what this lawsuit says, what qualified immunity says is that if a police officer does something in violation of the Constitution, that's okay as long as there has not been a previously established law by the Supreme Court, by the federal courts, that puts them on notice. So this has been used for them to say, hey, I shot somebody, I wasn't on notice that I couldn't shoot anybody. So those are the type of things that we're seeing. And that's what we want to prevent. That's a really short, trying to make people understand what qualified immunity is. It's a lot more complicated than that, but it does need to go, because what happens is that you cannot hold these police officers accountable with qualified immunity. The example that is always given is the dog who bit up someone. This is a lawsuit. A dog bit up someone who was lying down. The judge gave them qualified immunity. The judge gave them qualified immunity because the only case that was similar was somebody who was bitten by a police dog while they were sitting up. So according to the courts, they were never put on notice that they couldn't stick police dogs on someone and have them bite. So we're going to get rid of that law that protects them and make sure that people are treated equally no matter who you are.